Today we are going to finish this anti-thyroid drug. So as from the initial day of the thyroid hormones and its inhibitors, we have discussed the different synthesis mechanism, how thyroid hormone gets synthesized in the body, and how we are going to manage the case of hypothyroidism. And now we are going to try to manage the case of hyperthyroidism. Okay, so as in the last lectures we have discussed the definitions of anti-thyroid drugs and lots of group of drugs that are classified under the anti-thyroid drugs. And these anti-thyroid drugs, as we know, these drugs they are capable of reducing the thyroid hormones levels either by inhibiting the synthesis process or by inhibiting the secretion process or by both mechanisms. Okay, and we have, I told you that we have 5 group of drugs under the anti-thyroid drugs. So if you understand these pictures, and this pictures is taken from Kairzong. Okay, so if you look at these pictures, we came to know that first the iodide gets trapped into the thyroid follicular cells, and it undergoes the three chemical reactions called as oxidation reactions, organification reactions, and coupling reactions. And these oxidation reactions, organification reactions, and the coupling reactions, they are carried out by the enzymes called thyroid peroxidase enzymes. And once the coupling reactions takes place, your T3 and T4 hormones get synthesized, and it get stored in the follicular cells. And yeah, if the thyroid follicular cells get receives impulse or get stimulated, then it will get released into the blood circulations. Okay, so in the blood circulations, we know that large amount of T4 get released into the blood circulation, but the pharmacological actions of the thyroid hormones is initiated by the T3. So in the peripheral tissue, this T4 gets converted to the T3 by the enzyme called 5' deiodinase. So this is the mechanism we have discussed in the synthesis pattern or synthesis mechanism of the thyroid hormone. So we are going to try to focus how the thyroid hormone concentration get reduced, or how we are going to lower the concentration of thyroid hormones in the body. Okay, so if we look at these pictures, we are going to fit the name of the drugs at this picture. So initially, if you inhibit these trapping mechanisms, then the thyroid synthesis pattern of thyroid hormones get inhibited. And if you inhibit the functions of the thyroid peroxidase enzymes, so this thyroid peroxidase enzymes, it carries the oxidation, organification, coupling reactions. And if we inhibit the functions of the thyroid peroxidase enzymes, then we are not going to get the thyroid hormones. Okay, and third, if we inhibit the release of thyroid hormones from the follicular cells, then we are able to reduce the concentration of thyroid hormones in the blood streams. And finally, if you block the 5' deiodinase enzymes, actions of 5' deiodinase enzymes, then the pharmacological actions of the thyroid hormones get inhibited. So in this way, we classify the anti-thyroid drugs by looking at this picture. So the first group of the drugs, we call it as the iodide trapping inhibitors, and second we call it as the hormone synthesis inhibitors, and third we call it as the hormone release inhibitors, and fourth we call it as the thyroid folliculars destroying agents. Okay, there is agents which are able to destroy the follicular cells. And fifth group of drugs, we classify the peripheral conversion inhibitors, or simply we will call the beta blockers. Okay, so beta blockers has additional therapeutic uses. It inhibits the peripheral conversion of T4 to T3. So if you look back to the notes of first year regarding to the beta blockers, in that beta blockers you have included the therapeutic uses of beta blockers in hyperthyroidism. Now we came to know that these beta blockers, it inhibits the conversion of T4 to T3. Okay, so we have completed the hormone synthesis inhibitors drugs, and we have discussed its mechanism of actions. Okay, so the second, I want to tell you that the advantage of this group of drugs, okay, the advantage of this group of drugs over surgery, if the patient is diagnosed as hyperthyroidism or thyroid storm, then if you want to carry out the surgical procedure for the thyroid gland or for the follicular cells which are responsible for the increased synthesis of thyroid hormones, then if you compare the surgery over the using of these medicines, then this medicine is simply relevant or simply advantageous over the surgery. Why? Because there is no surgical risks taken when this group of drugs is administered to the patient. And second is that to administer these drugs to the patient is easy. So this group of drugs is highly preferred over the surgery initially. Okay, at last, if this group of drugs does not able to lower the thyroid hormones concern amount, then we are going to perform the surgical procedures. Okay, so and the third is that if you compare this group of drugs, propylthiouracil, methimazole, carbimazole, and this methimazole, carbimazole, they are same, because carbimazole, it is the active metabolites. Okay, methimazole is the active metabolites of carbimazole. Methimazole is the active metabolites of carbimazole, and this propylthiouracil, it is used therapeutically in case in the hyperthyroidism in pregnancy. Okay, and why? All the group of drugs we classified under the anti-thyroid drugs, this group of drugs, they are not used during the time of pregnancy, because they can crosses the placenta and can cause the can cause the follicular cell or fetal follicular cell damage, leading to the hypothyroidism state. Okay, hypothyroidism state, so that there is low level of thyroid hormones, and all the and physical and mental characteristics get impaired. So we are not going to use other group of drugs, but this propylthiouracil, little bit, it can be used clinically for the treatment of hyperthyroidism in pregnancy level. Why? Because this propylthiouracil has high protein binding capacity. Okay, high protein binding capacity, and the highest protein binding capacity, they now this complex is not allowed to process the placental barrier. Okay, so because of this reason, propylthiouracil is drug of choice for hyperthyroidism during pregnancy. Keep it in mind. Propylthiouracil is the drug of choice for hyperthyroidism during pregnancy. Okay, so if you go to the inhibits, the iodide trapping inhibitors, or we call ionic inhibitors, these thiocyanates and perchlorates, it is simple. Okay, so we know the mechanism of action of this group of drugs. Okay, what is the mechanism of action of this group of drugs? This group of drugs, look at the naming. Okay, by the naming, iodide trapping means this group of drugs, they will inhibit the sodium iodide symporter. They will inhibit the sodium iodide symporter, leading to decrease or inhibit the influx of iodide to the follicular cells, and alters the thyroid hormone synthesis. But in clinical practice, in clinical setup, these thiocyanates and the perchlorates, they are not used clinically. Why? Because of the high toxic effects or teratogenic effects. Only keep it in your mind that because of the toxicity, because of the highest toxicity nature, this group of drugs, they are not used clinically, so we will escape it. Okay, so if you go to the hormone release inhibitors, this group of drugs, they are used for the hyperthyroidism, somehow, for, or we can say for the reserve drug. Okay, for the reserve drug, we can use hormone release inhibitors. And if you move to the thyroid tissue destroying agents, we call it as the radioactive iodine, and you see this radioactive iodine, it has two isotopes, okay? Isotopes iodine 131 and iodine isotopes 127. So it has some importance, okay? So look at these pictures. So these isotopes 131, they are used for the treatment purpose, okay? Isotopes radioactive iodine 131, they are used for the therapeutic purpose, whereas isotopes 127, they are used for the diagnostic purpose for the hyperthyroidism, okay? For the treatment purpose, we are going to use the isotopes 131, whereas for the diagnostic purpose, we are going to use the 127. And as you see the naming, thyroid tissue destroying agent, that means this radioactive iodine, they will destroy the follicular cells of the thyroid gland, resulting to the decreased synthesis or decreased release of the thyroid hormones to the blood circulations. Okay, this is the basic mechanism of actions of the thyroid tissue destroying agents. And fifth, I told you that we can add beta blockers as well. Okay, beta blockers, I have forgotten to add up the beta blockers, so please add to your notes beta blockers. You can use any beta blockers in any beta blockers for the treatment of hyperthyroidism, okay, for the treatment of hyperthyroidism. Now we will we will summarize the anti-thyroid drugs, okay. So if we have discussed this mechanism of actions, okay. Propylthiouracil, it also has additional effects, that it also prevents the peripheral conversion of T4 to T3, and these are the therapeutic uses of propylthiouracil. These are the adverse effects of the thiamides or hormone synthesis inhibitors. So the most common adverse effects of the hormone synthesis inhibitors is skin rashes, and rare but dangerous side effects is agranulocytosis, and somehow some patient also experience a joint pain, fever, sore throat, okay. So additional adverse effects of the hormone synthesis inhibitors or propylthiouracil is hypothyroidism as well as goiter, okay. But this hypothyroidism and goiter can be reversed, or these effects can be stopped by stopping the medicines, okay. So I have not included that adverse effect, so you can add up these adverse effects as well: skin rashes, granulocytosis, joint pain, fever, sore throat, and fourth, hypothyroidism, fifth, goiter. They are reversible on stoppage of the therapy, okay, on stoppage of the therapy. So if you compare the effects of propylthiouracil over the carbimazole, okay, over the carbimazole, as we know, this propylthiouracil, it is a less potent compared to the carbimazole, and it is highly bound to plasma protein. Carbimazole, it is less bound to plasma protein, as we know, and propylthiouracil, it has shorter duration of actions. Carbimazole, it has longer duration of actions, and the mechanism of actions, it inhibits the peripheral conversion of T4 to T3, whereas carbimazole, it has negligible effects on this chemical process, and propylthiouracil has no active metabolites, but carbimazole, it gets converted to the methimazole, okay. So please keep it in your mind, this may be the one MCQs for you, okay. Carbimazole is the active metabolites of the, or methimazole is the active metabolites of the carbimazole. Methimazole is the active metabolites of the carbimazole, or they can ask carbimazole can be converted to which of the following metabolites. You should know it is the methimazole, okay. And the for the teratogenic effects, for the toxicity, this propylthiouracil, it cannot crosses the placenta, but carbimazole, it can be cross the placental barrier more easily. So I told you that propylthiouracil is the drug of choice for hyperthyroidism during the pregnancy, okay. So the examiner may ask you during the viva that why propylthiouracil is the drug of choice for hyperthyroidism during pregnancy, because of the high bound to the plasma protein. It can't process the placental barrier, and there is no effects, okay. So this is the reasons you should know. So the advantage over the surgery, using the propylthiouracil over the surgery: no surgical risk. Hypothyroidism, if induced, it is reversible. It can be used in children and young adults, but the disadvantage, it requires the prolonged treatment, and it is not applicable for the uncooperative patients, and it is the drug, because of the drug toxicity. It shows the disadvantage effects. Okay, so these are the advantage and disadvantage of using the propyl thiouracils over the surgery. So these ionic inhibitors, we know, not used clinically because of the toxic effects. So the mechanism of actions, you know. Okay, you know. Now we will go to the third and very important, radioactive iodines. So radioactive iodines, so which isotopes we are going to use for the diagnostic purpose for radioactive iodine? Please, can you tell me which isotopes we are going to use? The
I-127.
I-127, very good. And for the therapeutic purpose, which isotopes we are going to use?
131.
Okay, very good. So radioactive iodine, this isotopes 131, it will emits the rays. Okay, it will emits the rays alpha and gamma, beta and gamma. And look at this, okay. So the anti-thyroid effects of the radioactive iodines or the rays, it will shown by the beta rays. Keep it in your mind, beta rays. Okay, so this beta rays, once this radioactive iodine, it emits the beta and gamma rays, this beta rays, it will destroy the follicular cells and it leads to the necrosis, and it will correct the hyperthyroid states. Okay, so just you should know this rays. Okay, so beta rays, it will cause the destructions of the follicular cells, leading to the necrosis, correct the hyperthyroid states. Okay, this is the mechanism of actions of the radioactive iodine. So the therapeutic uses, we can use this radioactive iodines for the treatment of hyperthyroidism due to the Graves' disease or toxic nodular goiter. Okay, so if you look to the advantage of using the radioactive iodine, no surgical risks. Okay, no surgical risks. It is simple and it can be used to outpatient, very easy. And once hyperthyroidism is controlled, cure is permanent. Keep it in your mind. Okay, this is the advantage of using the radioactive iodine, but this role, it shows the disadvantage as well. Okay, because this radioactive iodine, it will destroy the follicular cells and it can lead to the hypothyroidism as well. Okay, it can lead to the hypothyroidism as well. So this is the advantage. And for the disadvantage, hypothyroidism, it is contraindicated to the pregnancy, long latent period of response, and it is not suitable for young patients. And look at this third point, long latent period of response. That means although the radioactive iodines, it has best response to lower, or we can say best response for getting the hyperthyroidism, to reduce the thyroid hormones levels very properly and very and we know it it controls this hyperthyroidism conditions permanently. Okay, but because of the long latent period of response, okay, it takes 3 to 6 days. It takes 3 to 6 days to show its effects. So for the preparation of thyroidectomy, okay, for the preparation of thyroidectomy, we can't use radioactive iodines initially because of the late onset of actions. Okay, because of the late onset of actions, we can't use radioactive iodine for the thyroidectomy. But for the preparations of the thyroidectomy, if you remember the therapeutic uses of the propyl thiouracils, I have written there that along with the radioactive iodine, this propyl thiouracils, it can be it can be used. It can be used to treat the hyperthyroidism state. Okay, so now if you think that if you know that point, then you can easily write down the therapeutic uses of the propyl thiouracils as well as the radioactive iodines. Okay, so radioactive iodines, but for the preparation of thyroidectomy, we can't use radioactive iodines. Why? because of the slow onset of actions. We can't use radioactive iodine to prepare the patient for the thyroidectomy. Okay, so these are the points regarding to the radioactive iodines, and very important. Okay, radioactive iodines. So hormone release inhibitors. So this group of drugs, they will inhibit the thyroid hormones released from the follicular cells. And if you know this Wolff-Chaikoff effect, and I hope you have studied in physiology, Wolff-Chaikoff effect. So excess iodine, they will interfere the synthesis of the T3 and T4 hormones. Okay, T3 and T4 hormones. So excess iodine, we know that iodide, it is responsible for the synthesis of thyroid hormones, but excess iodide, it also plays to inhibits the synthesis, or plays roles to control the release of thyroid hormones from the follicular cells to the bloodstream. And so this excess iodides controls the amount of thyroid hormones in the blood circulations. We call it as the Wolff-Chaikoff effects, and this Wolff-Chaikoff effects we have gone detailedly in physiology, but in pharmacology you only require this much information regarding to the hormone release inhibitors. Okay, if we see the preparations of hormone release inhibitors, you have Lugol's iodine, sodium iodides, and potassium iodides. And the Lugol's iodine, it contains 5% iodine in 10% Ki. Okay, so this is also the MCQs for you. Okay, please note it down in your copy. Lugol's iodine contains 5% iodine in 10% Ki. Okay, potassium iodide. 5% iodine in 10% solution of Ki. This is also the important MCQs for you. And the second, sodium iodide and the potassium iodide, but the longest acting anti-thyroid drug. You have 5 group of drugs under the anti-thyroid drugs. Okay, so out of 5, the longest acting anti-thyroid drugs is hormone release inhibitors, or we can say iodides of sodium and potassium. Sodium iodide, potassium iodide, Lugol's iodine, they are the longest acting anti-thyroid drugs. Okay, they are the longest acting anti-thyroid drugs. So the indication, so I hope you understood the mechanism of actions of hormone release inhibitors. Okay, if you have understand the first pictures regarding to the understanding the different group of drugs that is used to control the hyperthyroidism, then you can easily write it down, and you can easily understand the mechanism of actions of different group of drugs. Okay, so adverse effects, the major adverse effects is hypersensitivity reactions, and the long term with high dose, it will cause the hypothyroidism, as we know, and it can cause the inflammation of mucous membrane, salivation, rhinorrhea. And these are the adverse effects of the hormone release inhibitors, but you should know the major adverse effects. Okay, hypersensitivity reactions and hypothyroidism. So these are the basic informations you should know regarding to the hormone release inhibitors. Okay, so at last you should know, please write it down, role of beta blockers in hyperthyroidism. Okay, this is very important questions you to for university examinations. Okay, role of beta blockers in hyperthyroidism, and you have to write what I will explain here. Okay, so please here, look here, these thyroid hormones, it will upregulates the beta receptors. As we know, it will upregulates the beta receptors in heart. That means which beta receptors is present in heart? Can you tell me which beta receptors? Beta 1. Okay, there is one heart, so you have beta 1 receptors. One heart, please. One heart, so beta 1 receptors in heart. And skeletal muscles, which receptors is present in skeletal muscles?
Beta 2.
Very good, beta 2. Our beta 1 is present in heart and juxtaglomerular cells of kidney. अब अरु जति पनि आउँछ सबैमा त beta 3 2 हुन्छ. Beta 3 it is located in adipose tissue. हेर न कति सजिलो छ. Beta 1 हट र जेसी सेल्स अफ द किडनीमा मात्र प्रेजेन्ट हुन्छ. Beta 3 adipose टिस्युमा प्रेजेन्ट हुन्छ. अरु बाँकी सबै त के हुने रहेछ? Beta 2 कति सजिलो छ. Beta 2. So Beta 1 in heart, Beta 2 in skeletal muscles. But this thyroid hormones, it will upregulate the beta receptors and it will increase the sensitivity of heart towards the catecholamines. And finally, once your beta receptors get stimulated, it results the tachycardia, palpitations, muscle tremors, okay, muscle tremors through the skeletal muscles, tachycardia, palpitations through the activation of beta receptors in heart. Okay, so these are the role of thyroid hormones in cardiovascular system. Okay, but in case of hyperthyroidism, means there is increased concentration of thyroid hormone, there is increased level of thyroid hormone. That means the patient may experience more and more tachycardia, palpitations, and muscle tremors. Okay, muscle tremors. So how we are going to control these effects? How we are going to control these effects? By using the beta blockers. Okay, beta blockers is that beta blockers, it will inhibits the beta receptors. Simply, it will inhibits the beta receptors, and we control the signs and symptoms of the sensitivity of heart towards the catecholamines, sensitivity of skeletal muscles towards the catecholamines. Okay, and there is decrease in heart rate, there is decrease in palpitation, there is decrease in muscle tremors by this mechanism of actions. But additionally, these beta blockers, they will inhibit the peripheral conversion of T4 to T3. This is the additional properties. Okay, don't forget it. Inhibits peripheral conversion of T4 to T3 beta blockers. So, can you tell me the name of the drugs that possess these properties, inhibition properties, T4 to T3? Can you tell me the name of the drugs other than beta blockers?
Propyl thiouracil.
Very good, propyl thiouracils. Okay, very good. Okay, from roll number 20, beta blockers, it will inhibit the peripheral conversion of T4 to T3. There is another group of drugs, propyl thiouracil. It also inhibits the peripheral conversion of T4 to T3. So these slides, you have to explain or you have to draw these flowcharts if they ask the role of beta blockers in hyperthyroidism. Okay, so please, this is the simple flowchart showing the role of beta blockers in hyperthyroidism. Okay, so additionally, this is the MCQs based question. So okay, so please remember this 4 group of drugs, they will causes the hypothyroidism. हेर त hypothyroidism गर्नेको को lithium, para-aminosalicylic acids, amiodarone, sulfonamides. Okay, they may ask you the questions: which of the following drugs cause hypothyroidism? Lithium, para-aminosalicylic acids, amiodarone, sulfonamides. Okay, these are the group of drugs they will causes the hypothyroidism. Okay, so now we have completed the antithyroid group of drugs. Okay, so from this classification of antithyroid drugs, okay, I want to ask you that to check out whether you have understand this topic or not, because this topic is very easy to understand and this topic is also very, very important for the university examinations, and this topic is also the best topic for the examiner to ask you the viva. Okay, so you have to know, anyhow you have to know the classifications and important informations regarding the different antithyroid drugs. Okay, roll number 35, we have just 2 minutes. Within 2 minutes we have to complete the revision. Roll number 20. So from this point number one, can you tell the shortcut mechanism of actions?
So, hormone synthesis inhibitors are those categories of the antithyroid drugs which inhibit the peroxidase enzyme, which is
very good. Okay, good. Bye. So, out of these 3 group of drugs, which group of drugs is used for the hyperthyroidism during pregnancy?
Propyl thiouracil.
Very good, very good, very good. Okay, roll number 70.
Yes, sir.
Okay, why propyl thiouracil is the drug of choice for hyperthyroidism during pregnancy?
Because it does not cross placental barrier and has high plasma bound, and it has high plasma bound property.
plasma
It
protein,
binds to
okay,
plasma bind protein. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
plasma binding protein, plasma binding protein. Very good. Okay, thank you. So, भन त अब हामी जस्ट रिभिजन गर्दैछौँ which is the fastest acting anti-thyroid drugs?
Propyl thiouracil.
Hormone release
Oh,
inhibitor.
no propyl thiouracil. Fastest acting.
Methimazole.
Hormone release inhibitor.
Very good. Hormone release inhibitor भनेर अघि मैले स्लाइडमै देखाएको थिएँ नि. तिमीले नोटै गरेको छैन जस्तो छ. कहाँबाट हुन्छ त? Hormone release inhibitors is the fastest acting anti-thyroid drugs. हेर त तिमीहरूलाई यति मात्र थाहा पायो भने पनि बुक पढ्नु पर्दैन भनेर मैले रिभिजन गराइरहेको छु. तिमीहरूले नोटै लेखेर हिँड्छ कपीमा. फास्ट भयो जस्तो छ.
The longest acting anti-thyroid drug was hormone release inhibitor.
हो hormone release inhibitor longest acting.
The fastest acting भन्नु भएको थिएन त्यति बेला.
Fastest acting भनेको एउटै हो के.
Longest acting र fastest acting एउटै हो.
हैन भन्नाले एउटै भन्न खोजेको त्यसरी सोध्न सक्छ भन्नलाई भन्न होला हो कि.
ए हवस्.
ल ठिकै छ कन्फ्युज भयो टर्ममा. ओके भेरी गुड केही छैन. ल ठिक छ. हार्मोन रिलीज इन्हिबिटरमा यसमा तिम्रो मैले भन्न खोजेको व्हाट आई मीन टु से व्हाट आई वान्ट टु टेल यु दैट. So this point number 1 is very very important. You should know the mechanism of action from these drugs, okay, group of drugs. And yo bhayo aba then from the radioactive iodides ma you know the difference between this 131 and 127 haina, you know the difference haina. So aba arko additional chahi aba they can ask you that. So what is the additional mechanism of actions of propyl thiouracil? They can ask you that, okay? So additional mechanism of action के हो propyl thiouracil को?
Peripheral
conversion.
Peripheral conversion. Good, हैन? ठीक छ. भनेको मतलब अब you estimate that, okay? What is main importance from this anti-thyroid drugs भन्नेबित्तिकै propyl thiouracil के बारेमा धेरै थाहा पाउनु पर्यो. Either propyl thiouracils or radioactive iodine. If you understand, if you memorize these two drugs from these anti-thyroid drugs, then you can do all questions that is asked from the anti-thyroid drugs, okay? And go through the university questions as well, okay? So यति एकदमै सिम्पल छ, very very simple topic हो यो. यति कुरा थाहा पाएपछि तिमीहरूले लेख्न सक्छ है. अब एडिसनल यहाँ रोल अफ बीटा ब्लकर्स इन हाइपरथाइरोइडिज्म मैले त्यहाँ अघि slide I have shown you the slides. So this is the slide. So if you write it down and if you explain by your own words, then it is very very good. Otherwise, if you point out, if you write these flowcharts in the examinations paper, then it is also very good, okay, for to collect the good marks, okay. So these are the drugs that will cause the hypothyroidism. And at last I want to tell you the thank you. And from the next class we are going to start the reproductive block, okay, reproductive block. So from this is the last lectures from the endocrine system. So regarding to the endocrine system and any other topics from the pharmacology, you can contact to any of the faculties from the department, and please go through the books, go through your notes and be prepared, okay. Select the topic and collect the important information at first and look at the question bank, and in this way we are going to wrap up the second year, okay. So I know that you are feeling very difficulties to collect the informations because this online module is very very difficult to